Hello, welcome. Dr. Sushma Singh this side. Today in Unit 5 Modernization, we start with the topic the debate on modernization. Giddens shares many of these themes with contemporary sociological theorists such as Habermas, Turin, and Malusi. These authors attempt to grasp the distinct culture of late modernity that is fragile, ever changing, and different from that which preceded it. Due to the worldwide spread of capitalism, the mass media, and industrialism, contemporary social society is a global society. More and more people realize that their identities and moral systems can no longer rely on taken of granted traditions. With the decline in traditional, hence there has been a rise in reflectivity. These theories view modernity as an unfinished project and construct a narrative for modernity which culminates in a reformed vision of rationality, universality, and evolutionary development. For Giddens, as for these theorists, in the late modern era of highly differentiated and specialized Western societies, conflicts arise in the area of information and communication. The line between public and private issues becomes blurred. Reflectivity relates self with society in ever changing ways. Critiquing postmodernism, Giddens and other contemporary sociological theorists reconstruct modernity, viewing it as internally complex. Like Weber, they are specially aware of the problems created by a rationality which destroys meaning. Like the postmodernists, they recognize that a major problem of modern culture has been the destructive potential of a rationality that is not sensitive to social and natural contexts. Such a concept of rationality also undermines the conditions of self-government, largely by translating social questions into issues of technical, undemocratic policy. Habermas is the strongest defender of the legacy of modernity against the postmodern criticism of it. He sees in modernity tendencies toward the rampant instrumental rationality that destroys alternative, more democratic vision of social life. Like Parsons, he states that the universalistic rationality is a major achievement of modernity, which must integrate an increasingly differentiated and complex modern society. Rise of different types of reasoning constitute the key feature of the modern world. Modernity cannot rely on traditional justifications of rule and action and must ground its criteria for evaluation within its own history. In the absence of tradition, communicative rationality takes on the ethical role of coordinating diverse social actions. He sees the culture of modernity embodied in communicative rationality as concerned with the establishing autonomy and justice. For Habermas, this communicative context informs the acquisition of knowledge, the transmission of culture, the formation of personal identity, and more general processes of social integration. He further contends that the new social movements provide avenues for the development of new values and identities. Arising in the post-traditional and post-industrial society, new social movements represent the main vehicle by which a non-instrumental communicative rationality can be brought into public life. New social movements associated with the late modernity, such as the feminism and environmentalism, have fundamentally changed the nature of politics. In some, Habermas contends that modernity establishes inseparable links between rationality and freedom as demonstrated in the great modernist accomplishments such as democracy and human rights. New social movements are expressing and attempting to implement these achievements in new ways. His championing of the legacy of modernity distances him from the postmodernists. Like Turonin and Malusi, Giddens' theories raises a reformed view of modernity that is much more critical than that of Habermas. They argue that new social movements raise novel issues of cultural identity in the global context, marked by rapid increases in communication technologies and recognizing of the importance of cultural differences. Malusi and Turin contend that the modern societies exist in a post-industrial context and cultural strife between the diverse group has replaced the class struggles over the distribution of resources as central social conflicts. Modern societies are in chronic combat with the possession and very definition of cultural codes and information. New social movements are the primary agents and carries on innovative discourses and practices in the struggles of the late modern era. These theories critically engage the postmodern persuasion, arguing that the modernity has not been superseded but remains an unfinished project, as modernist beliefs and practices are still central to contemporary societies. They believe that rational reflectivity has been replaced tradition as the main form of social solidarity in the modern world. Giddens differs from these theorists in that he takes tradition more seriously. In the new, distinctly modern disc society, people draw on expertise, re-evaluate in terms of their own particular cultural context, and then utilize this knowledge to evaluate their everyday actions. He argues that modernity excludes the marginalizes particular groups of people who do not fit into these categories. He agrees with the postmodern claims that the foundations of knowledge are fragile and there is no inherent progress in history, and the new social movements are raising qualitatively new issues about social life. He believes that personal identity has also become less firm and more fragmented in the modern world. However, Giddens disagrees with the many postmodern tenets. He prefers the idea of late modernity to that of postmodernity. People do not live in fragmented, unconnected lives. They still construct narratives about their selves, but they do so in post-traditional conditions. Here we want to close this lecture. Thanks for listening.